Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavats Pranam Prabhu.
Dandavats Pranam Mataji. Elli neevu
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavats Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavats Pranam. Somewhere Prabhu, I'll be just joining from
Prabhu.
Sorry, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Dandavats Pranam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu,
Dandavats Pranam, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu,
we
Dandavats
missed
Pranam.
you
Yesterday.
Yeah, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavats Pranam Prabhu.
Too much of work sometimes drags me. What to do?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavats Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Every day I'm praying to the Lord. I want to get rid of all this small
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavats Pranam.
work and focus on Srimad Bhagavatam. Someday Lord will answer. Our Lord is telling that you have to put your effort and I'll answer. Okay, Hare Krishna, Dandavats Pranam to all. So how are you all doing? How is your spiritual life?
By the grace of Guru and Gauranga, we are doing very well.
Okay. So doing very well is one portion. The other portion is how are you going to progress? Spiritual life progress must be a continuous affair. How long? Till our death. Does it end at death? No. Even after death, it continues. That means once a soul gets liberated, he continues to progress in spiritual life in the spiritual world also. Right? So there's no end. There's no end to the progress of service of Srimati Radharani. So similarly, there's no end to our progress in spiritual life because that is our constitutional life. Okay. Today we're going to discuss one of the most nectarian chapters, the disappearance of Lord Krishna. Okay. We will see what does it mean to us.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dandavats Pranam. Okay.
Dandavats Pranam.
So let's begin. Where's the share now? Okay. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanajalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadadi Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sakagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sakitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sakagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jahatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Desatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so welcome all to today's topic on disappearance of Lord Krishna. Okay, so while we discuss this topic, let us set some pretext to why this topic and how it is important to us. Okay, so at this point in time, just looking at the previous chapter follower. In the previous chapter, we saw the quality of consciousness of Yudhishthira, right? He felt very compassionate to his uncles, Dhritarashtra, Vidura, and his aunt, Gandhari. So his compassionate was, we all know how Dhritarashtra was one of the root cause for the entire Mahabharata war. And he approved causing damage to the entire Pandava community or the life of the Pandavas. Though he did not do it personally, he approved Duryodhana doing it. So in one way you see that Dhritarashtra was covered by moha, and moha for his son. And because of that, he committed crimes. Even after all those things, when the Mahabharata war was over, when Duryodhana was killed, Yudhishthira was coronated as the king. But still, he respected and allowed Dhritarashtra to practice, as if he was the king. So he allowed all those things. He did not disrespect them. He took care of them nicely. But however, when Vidura intercepted by saying, what sort of life are you leading? What you're doing is wrong. You have to go in search of God consciousness. You cannot continue to keep doing this material life. Otherwise, your future of your life will be doomed. So Vidura took him and made him to practice impersonal liberation, or at least Paramatma level of realization. That's all. But that's the best he could do. Why? Because Dhritarashtra, while in his life, he committed many offenses, many sins against the Pandavas. So that will not allow him to realize Krishna, because Krishna's mercy won't fall on him. So it's only the devotee's mercy. So with that mercy, whatever he could do, he did that. But what is the consciousness of Yudhishthira? Yudhishthira's consciousness was that I have not taken care of my uncles. I have not taken care of my aunt. I have done something wrong that they have left. Right? See, this is the quality of a devotee. A devotee never complains. Devotee thinks whatever has happened in his life, he is the cause for it. It is his own karmic and karmic reactions that is the cause of life. That is the first quality of devotion. That's what Krishna sees in the heart of a devotee. When the phala, the heart of the devotee, matures fully, right? Krishna awards his unlimited mercy. When Krishna's mercy has reached the devotee, his life changes. That is important to realize. So now, in this chapter, you see the chapter is titled The Disappearance of Lord Krishna. And of course, you can see when Yudhishthira was lamenting, immediately Lord sent Narada Muni to make him understand what actually is the reality, so that devotee need not lament, right? And Narada Muni comes and dissipates the ignorance, the heart of Yudhishthira. Of course, Yudhishthira did not have ignorance. He is dissipating, or Yudhishthira and Naradaji is acting a role play for the benefit of the audience, people like us. Okay, so now let's go to the chapter 14, Disappearance of Lord Krishna. So even though the title is saying Disappearance of Lord Krishna, you will see the entire chapter, you will never see any sloka or any word which tells about Lord leaving the world. It only talks about the fact that what will happen, what are the symptoms when Krishna is not present? What sort of people will experience in the absence of the Lord? And that is the most critical aspect that we need to understand from this chapter. Now, how is it relevant to us? If Lord is not absent, Lord is not present in front of us, then what happens is the environment around us. How will be the situation? How will be the difficulties of this world? So that is something that we have to understand. So, one, by practicing his sadhana bhakti, practicing his devotion, he can always experience the presence of the Lord with him. And that's the beauty. If the Lord is present, then you will see bad omen, inauspiciousness, difficulties, the influence of three modes of material nature. All those things do not act on us, or act on us in a very mild manner. So that's why Prabhupada says, the protection of the Lord begins moment someone practices devotion service. How much the Lord protects? It depends on the level of devotion service one demonstrates. So this is very important to understand, right? So Kali Yuga. So how Kali Yuga started? Kali Yuga did not wait for Dwapara Yuga to end, and then Kali was born to manifest stronger and bigger. It did not happen like that. Let's say Kali Yuga is supposed to end, in another 100 years from now, for example. While let's assume we are in Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga is going to end in 100 years from now. Even before ending Kali Yuga, the Kali began, Kali birth happened. But because of presence of Krishna, Kali could not do anything. It's like Kali's hands were chained and tied up, that it could not do anything. It could not dispel anything. That's what happened to Kali. Moment Krishna left, if you see Krishna's feet, they're all good symbols on the feet of Krishna. So whenever Krishna kept his leg on this Mother Earth, all good things happened on a continuous basis, right? Once Krishna left this world, you see the ill effects of Kali or the symptoms of Kali already starting to manifest, right? They call in English as cusp. Cusp means, so for example, there's a star sign we have. Now, generally the star sign is for like 28 to 30 days or 30 to 31 days, depending on the star sign that we're talking about. Now, let's say Leo is going to end. Leo will end on the 21st or 22nd of a month. But the next star sign, let's assume it's Libra. Libra will start 4 days or 5 days before that. So that means there will be a period of crossover of influence of these two star signs, right? So before the Dwapara Yuga ended, Kali Yuga actually began. And when it began, it was just waiting for Krishna. Once Krishna left the world, Kali Yuga began. And Kali started to influence. Now, if you read the 10th canto of Bhagavatham, you will see Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur explaining the various seasons, right? He also explains the glory of Vrindavan. He explains the glories of Giriraj. He explains the glories of the various kunjas and the pastimes, places where Radha and Krishna performed their Leela. See how wonderful and how phenomenal it was. He also explains what is the mood and consciousness, especially if you read the Brahma Vimohana Leela, when Krishna expanded into all the Gopakumara's calves and he entered the respective houses, the complete environment changed. The hearts of the elderly gopis changed. They were experiencing phenomenal bliss that they never experienced in their life. That is presence of Krishna, right? So as sadhakas, what is important is we should feel the presence of the Lord in our life at every point in time. Every point in time, every second, every minute. That is sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti does not mean, okay, Prabhu, I got all the money, I finished my 16 months, I'm done, that's it. Let's figure it out tomorrow. That's not sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti is to experience, to see Krishna at every point in time in our life. That is sadhana bhakti. By practice of sadhana bhakti on a regular, consistent basis, one may experience or migrate to our upper plan, which is the Raganuga bhakti. So, this is the position of a devotee. So, this chapter teaches what will be the situation of the consciousness when Krishna leaves the planet, right? So, that's what we're going to experience now. It's a very touching subject. So, you will see how Yudhishthira is actually experiencing all those situations. Okay. We'll start with Sloka 14.1. Sutavacha samprastite dwarakayam jishno bandhu didrikshaya nyatum cha punya slokasya krishnasya cha vichestitam. Sutta Goswami said, Arjuna went to Dwarka to see Lord Krishna and other friends, and also to learn from the Lord about his next activities. So why does the same situation happen? Because Krishna was there in Hastinapur and Krishna left Dwarka after completing all his pastimes there. Now, after he read Dwarka, we read the chapter, right? The entry of Dwarka, what did Dwarkavasis do, and all those things. But it was quite some time now. So Yudhishthira is thinking, what is Lord doing? What is the Lord's plan? What are the next activities? That is the consciousness of a devotee. Always thinking and meditating on the Lord, right? So since there was some time gap between Krishna left Hastinapur and reached Dwarka, so Yudhishthira is sending Arjuna to check the activities of the Lord. What is he doing? And what are we supposed to do? That's why Arjuna went to understand the next program of the Lord. Okay. Let's go next sloka, 14.2. Vyatita katichin masas tadanayat tato arjunaha dadrisha gora rupani nimittani kurut vahaha. Translation. A few months passed. It was almost like 7 months, I think. 7 or 8 months passed since Arjuna left to Dwarka to understand the activities of the Lord. And Arjuna did not return. Maharaj Yudhishthira then began to observe some inauspicious omens, which were fearful in themselves, right? So devotee never get fearful dreams and fearful situations around him, right? If he's experienced something, that means there is a problem around us. What could be the problem? You see this is experiencing. Purport. Lord Sri Krishna, Supreme Personal Godhead, is infinitum, more powerful than the most powerful sun of our experiences. Millions and billions of suns are created and unrelated by him with his one breathing period. This is the pastime of material creation, where Vishnu breathes, Mahavishnu breathes. When he exhales, all the andas of creation come out. When he inhales, the complete Pralaya Kala completes, and then the solar system enters back into his womb. In the material world, the sun is considered to be the source of all productivity and material energy. And only due to the sun, we have the necessities of life. So now look at the importance of sun. If sun is not present in this life, we are doomed. Right? So sun is the most important element in our life. Knowledge, darkness, energy, all activities can happen only when there is sun present. Otherwise, it's not possible. Right? So therefore, during the personal, he is comparing that to the presence of the Lord. So as far as Lord is present, it's like sun present. Everything is jubilant. Therefore, during the personal presence of the Lord on earth, all paraphernalia for our peace, prosperity, especially religion knowledge, were in full display because of Lord's presence, just as there is a full flood of light in the presence of glowing sun. Maharaj Yudhishthira observed some discrepancies in his kingdom. So, in that paragraph, you should understand that as far as we are connected to the Lord, as far as we are doing services to the plane of the Lord, as far as we are practicing our sadhana bhakti, swadhyaya, sadachar, chanting the holy name, reading the scriptures, associating with devotees, serving one another, having lovely, open-hearted relationship with each devotee is very, very important. When we do these things, you will experience the presence of the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam, taking shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam daily will make you to experience the Lord every day. Right? When we experience the Lord, what happens? It says, all paraphernalia. What is all paraphernalia? Every elements, both living and non-living, present for our peace and prosperity will exist. Religiosity will be upheld. What does religiosity teach us? Religiosity teaches moral values, the principles of one's human life, the principles of our service to God. All those things will exist, will be upheld. That means what? People will give priority to religiosity. When religiosity is given priority, people love each other, and people also will demonstrate their love to that Supreme Lord Krishna. That's the power of religion. Religion means dharma. Right? And knowledge. What knowledge? Here he's not talking about material knowledge. He's talking knowledge of the self and the knowledge of the Supreme and knowledge of the relationship between the self and the Supreme. We're in full display because of Lord's presence. So that means all these things become completely manifest when there is Lord. So this is a truth statement. So what we should do, we should also practice our devotion every day to experience Lord in our life. A good chanting, you will see how wonderful your life for the day is. A good service, so much of bliss in our heart, you feel contented. This is important to practice. The more we associate with material elements, the more the influence of Maya Shakti on us. The lesser our association with material elements, the lesser the influence of three modes of nature. This is important point to understand, right? Okay, let's go to the next sloka. So when we don't have Krishna, then you will fear omens, devils, evils, ghosts, or unwanted situations, right? That is the important point to understand. Okay. 14.3. Kalasya chagatim raudram viparyastartu dharminaha papiyashim nirnam vartam krodalobanartartmanam. He saw that the direction of eternal time has changed, and this was very, very fearful. There were disruptions in the seasonal regularities. The people in general had become greedy, anger, and deceitful. And he saw that they were adopting foul means of livelihood. Look at this. Look at the clear direction. Okay. So what is direction of time change? And it is very fearful. So for example, you see, time is a constant mover. It is Kala Chakra. Chakra means rotates. It moves forward. Time never moves backward. Okay, we don't become younger. We always become older. So time continuously moves. How do you understand time moving? You will see the sun setting and sun rising. Time is moving. You will see change of season. So from spring, you will get summer. From summer, you will get rainy. From rainy, you will get autumn. After autumn, again, you will get your winter season. And again, you will get spring. Right? So time continuously changes and makes the seasons also to change. Okay. What else time do? When time do, we also move from Satyuga to Treta Yuga, from Treta Yuga to Dwapara Yuga, from Dwapara Yuga to Kali Yuga. So that also moves. Now, how this has become fearful? So, for example, if you see, in Dwapara Yuga, the righteousness of people was much, much higher. People were God conscious. People were fearful of, doing improper activities. People did not want to commit crime. Generally, the consciousness of people were more sattvic. And you can see that in Satyuga is called as the golden age. Right? Why it is called as golden age? Because there were more auspiciousness than compared to inauspiciousness. Right? But Kali Yuga, you see, it is called as the iron age. Because the iron age means deterioration. Very quickly, if you keep iron open, exposed to there, immediately no period of time it will rust. So, the consciousness of people are also degrading so fast in Kali Yuga. And in Satyuga, you see, the time span also is very large. But you see, the Kali Yuga time span also is also very short. It's only 4 lakh years. While in Satyuga, it was like 17 lakh odd years. Very, very important to understand these principles. Right? Now, what does also mean, for example, let's take Dwapara Yuga. Comparison between Dwapara Yuga and Kali Yuga. In Dwapara Yuga, it is not that people were not doing crime, but numbers were very less. The percentage of people committing crime and having a poor consciousness was maybe like 1 or 2% or maybe 5% max. But in Kali Yuga, you see, percentage of people performing good activities, good consciousness, sattvic, God consciousness is like only 1%. You see how much degradation. From 98% of goodness to 1% of goodness we've reached. That is the consciousness in Kali Yuga. Why? This time, when it moves from the time period when Krishna was present to time period when Krishna is not present, it moved in such a degraded manner, it caused fear in the heart of Yudhishthira. So that is the whole issue. And how does he saw? He saw seasonal irregularities. Autumn is supposed to happen during this month, but autumn started earlier, or autumn started very late. And you see, summers are very harsh. The rainy seasons were very harsh. Sudden flash floods of outpour of water, which inundates and cause sufferings to people. It is the purpose of rain. Let's understand purpose of rain. The purpose of rain is to nourish the living entities. Earlier, how rain gods used to work were, it is not that only in rainy season for 1 month, 2 months it will rain and the whole year will dry. No. In the rainy season, the rains are more, regular and daily present. But in the rest of the year, the rains would come once a week. A shower used to be there once a week, once in 15 days, on a continuous basis, so that there is nourishment for the livelihoods of the people. Farming, activities, all those things can continue to go. That is how the rain gods were. The rains were never a difficulty for life. Rains save us. Today, situation in Kali Yuga is we have to get saved from rain. Oh, I'll get drowned and I'll die. That is the seasonal irregularities. Summer, scorching heat. People die out of sunstroke. Impossible to go out. And in order to protect ourselves from such scorching heats, what we do? We put on machines and various other things. And we are actually intensifying the environmental problem. The people in general were becoming very greedy and angry and deceitful. Okay, so this is a very important point to consider. Now, what happens is, a living entity, when he falls down from the spiritual planet, he is pure. He is actually Satchidananda Vigraha. But what happens to him? Instead of associating with the Supreme Bhagavan Krishna, who's pure in all aspects, he is associating with the inferior, the dark energy of the Lord, the Maya Shakti. What is Maya? What's the difference between Yoga Maya and Maya? Yoga Maya makes you to be part of the Lord, makes you to remember the Lord. What does Mahamaya do? Mahamaya's job is to make you to forget the Lord. And what are we doing? We are constantly, time immemorial, forgetting the Lord rather than remembering the Lord. So we keep forgetting the Lord. What happens? The good qualities that we are supposed to derive from our spiritual father, Supreme Lord Krishna, we are deriving all the negative qualities from Maya Shakti. And what are those? Greed, anger, being deceitful, cheating propensity, all these things that we derive. When we start derive about that, what happens? It causes suffering in the livelihood of people. So that's what Prabhupada is explaining in this sloka. So civilization is going to be very unhappy when it is going to be disconnected from the source, which is the creator. That same civilization can be wonderful when it is completely connected to the source, which is the Supreme Bhagavan Krishna. That's what we saw in Ramaraja. What is Ramaraja? Ramaraja is nothing but being God conscious in our life and acting according to the principles of Dharma. God conscious does not mean I'll just be in the puja room all the time. No. At the time, when someone dies in a, they call as Avara Marana, that means sudden death. Someone dies suddenly. The king will lament. The king will lament by saying, what is it that I've done wrong in my kingdom that someone is dying in an unnatural manner? That was Ramaraja. But today, you see the newspaper and reports, they will say, oh, last year we had only 20,000 accidental deaths. We are only 22,000. The growth rate is only 10%, not fearful of 20-30%. That's how they will report. Right? So this is a very important aspect that we need to understand. So as we influence ourselves by the three modes of material nature, time immemorial, constantly, then what happens? Look at, this is an important point to read. I'll just highlight this. As we do continuous association with Mahamaya, a man becomes too greedy for wealth and power when he has no higher objectives in life, when he thinks that his earthly life of a few years is all in all. Ignorance is the cause of all these anomalies in human society, and to remove this ignorance, especially in this age of degradation, the powerful sun is there to distribute light in the shape of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, unless one takes shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, he cannot counteract the ill effects of Maya in our life. This is very, very important to understand. Taking shelter of Bhagavatam means what? We're getting closer to Krishna. We are meditating on the Lord. We're living our life as nothing else apart from serving the Lord. That is taking shelter of Krishna. That's what Bhagavatam does to us. In the first canto, first chapter, what does Bhagavatam say? Bhagavatam says it propounds Kaitava Dharma. Religion, which propounds materialistic life, it throws away that. And Bhagavatam is only focusing on religion that helps enhances one's spiritual life. That is important. Right? So that's the conclusive effect of this particular sloka. Okay? Okay, so now let's go to the next sloka, 14.4. Jimmaparyam vyavartam satyamishram sa sauhradam pitramatra suhrat pratar dampatinam cha kalkanam. Translation. All ordinary transactions and dealings became polluted with cheating. That means people lost moral values. Even between friends and in family affairs. See, earlier what used to happen is there were unity. How unity was there? So for example, you have read Bhagavatam, you read the story of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. Okay? In Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, they were demons only. And they were enemies of the demigods, but they were never enemies among themselves. Have you ever read there was intense fight between Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu? No, there was never a fight. They were united. And when Hiranyaksha died, Hiranyakashipu took such great austerity to take revenge on the person who killed him. That means, you see, among demons they were unity. Right? Why that? Let's take Pandavas. 100 brothers of Pandavas. Kauravas, not Pandavas, Kauravas, 100 brothers of Kauravas. Is there any purport or anywhere in Mahabharata that tells there were fights among the Kauravas? No. Collectively they were doing adharma, but among themselves they were unity. See, that was the situation previous ages. But look at the situation current age. Even among friends, who's a friend? Friend in need is a friend indeed. Right? A friend is one who supports each other. Among friends, they will break up. Okay? Look at this is called as polluting consciousness. Cheating propensity. Children will cheat the parents. Parents will cheat the children. Forget that. The husband will cheat the wife and the wife will cheat the husband. Even among family affairs, they will be cheating and families will break and they'll become nuclear. There will be misunderstanding between father, mother, and sons, between well-wishers and between brothers. Even between husband and wife, there is always strain and quarrel. And this is the nature of Kali Yuga, and this is what Kali influences. So what Prabhupada did? Prabhupada did something really wonderful. He created this society, he called it as an international society. That means he broke all the borders of this world. International society. And what does the society focused on? Focused on creating what is called as a Vaishnava family. And what does this Vaishnava family do? They all worship that Supreme Lord Krishna. So that means among the brothers and sisters of ISKCON, we need to have so much of cooperation, loving each other. And that's the objective of this society. Why should we fight? So Prabhupada created such a wonderful big family. But outside you go, families are becoming nuclear, smaller and smaller. I just read recently saying that in today's time, husband and wife living together is called joint family. That is the nature of Kali Yuga. So we should know that unity and integrity can happen only when we keep Krishna in the center. Because Krishna in the center, we will lose the idea of being quarreling, idea of having difference of opinion, and we'll have loving relationship among them. When we don't keep Krishna in the center, when we keep we as the center of our life, then we divide into fragments. This is important. So all our goals is to create that one united Vaishnava family. Together, we will do what is called as a Sankirtan. Otherwise, it's just Kirtan. Okay. This is a very beautiful purport. Can someone read the purport? Hare Krishna. Someone read the purport.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. A man becomes too greedy for wealth and power when he has no higher objectives in life. And when he thinks that this earthly life of a few years is all in all. Ignorance is the cause for all these anomalies in human society. And to remove this ignorance,
No,
especially...
Mataji, here, the purport is this next look. A conditioning living being.
Yes. I thought you marked when you wanted.
That I read. So this one. Next, we are the next look.
A conditioned living being is endowed with 4 principles of malpractice, namely errors, insanity, inability, and cheating. These are signs of imperfection. And out of the 4, propensity to cheat others is most prominent. And this cheating practice is there in the conditioned souls because the conditioned souls are primarily in the material world, imbued with an unnatural desire to lord it over the material world. A living being in his pure state is not conditioned by the law because in his pure state he is conscious that a living being is eternally subservient to the Supreme Being, and thus it is always good for him to remain subservient instead of
falsely trying.
also trying to lord it over the property of the Supreme Lord. In the conditioned state, the living being is not satisfied even if he actually becomes the lord of all that he surveys, which becomes... I'll read again. In the conditioned state, the living being is not satisfied even if he actually becomes the lord of all he surveys, which he never becomes, and therefore he becomes the victim of all kinds of cheating, even with his nearest and most intimate relations. In such an unsatisfactory state of affairs, there is no harmony, even between father and sons or between husband and wife. But all these contending difficulties can be mitigated by one process, and that is the devotional service of the Lord. The world of hypocrisy can be checked only by contraction through devotional service to the Lord and nothing else. Maharaja Yudhishthira, having observed the disparities, conjectured the disappearance of the Lord from the earth. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. You see why there is degradation in the society today? Because the society lost God consciousness. The degradation in families is because of loss of God consciousness. The degradation in the heart of a living entity is also there because he doesn't practice sadhana bhakti and he is not God consciousness. So this is very, very important to understand. The moment we connect ourselves to the Supreme by the practice of devotion in a genuine manner, no cheating propensity, then you see our devotion fructifies. What is the meaning of devotion getting fructified? It is not that we will become richer and stronger. It means that we get the mercy of their lordships. That is the point here, right? So, we shall understand this in a very, very clear manner. The themes are very clear. We shall all strive to be one Vaishnava family, help each other for the common goal to serve and worship that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, in a loving manner. Keeping Krishna as center of our life should be the goal of our life. Anything that our action may cause disturbance to or cause displease to the Lord should be just forbidden, avoided. An example, hey, you know what? If I cheat the government now, I'll get some benefit. I'll use that benefit in service of the Lord. Is how the cheating propensity begins in the heart of a person. Right? Is this correct to do? No. The government may cheat me, I don't care. But I shall not cheat the government. Because the issue is not about cheating or not cheating the government. The issue is being clean-hearted. That's what Prabhupada says. Simple living, high thinking is the greatest source of being Krishna consciousness. Lord takes care. Don't worry what others do in your life. Let them do what they want. But you focus on these important values of life. Right? So, we summarized about being a Vaishnava family, keeping Krishna as the center of our life. That means all our activities, our thoughts, and everything should be Krishna-centric, not material-centric. Right? Now, what does Mahamaya do and what does Yogamaya do? That you should understand. When Krishna manifested in this earth, all the Mahamaya Shakti, they immediately moved and they aligned to serve the Lord. Right? How do we understand this? When Krishna was born, all the planetary position, right? We have different stars. It's called constellation, right? The constellation positions of the star. So when a child is born on this earth, the time of birth is very, very significant. Why? Because at the time of birth, they see what is the constellation arrangement of the stars and how are they influencing the child and child's life, right? So when Krishna was born, what did the constellation do? Oh, even though he was born on Ashtami, all the constellation, they rearranged to make it as the most auspicious moment ever in this creation. That's what they did. So similarly, when we practice God consciousness in a very sincere, loving manner, the same thing will happen. That's what Prabhupada says. The devotee's horoscope may say that he will go through this difficulty, that part of the life, this part of life, that and all. But on practice of devotion, you see the stars change. Those things don't affect. It is the Lord who plays or takes the role in our life. And that is an important aspect that we should understand. Constellations will change. So, shelter of Krishna is greater than anything else in this creation. We should aim for that. Okay? Any questions on the subject matter so far? Okay, let's read further. Now, what happens? When Kali Yuga progresses, what does Kali do? Kali influences forgetfulness of Lord. And people will commit sins, people will acquire bad qualities, and there will be more and more dangers in this world. That's why you see many, many wars, non-stop wars. Somewhere or other it's happening. Okay. So let's read 14.5. Nimittani atya rishtani kale tva anugate nirnam lobadya adharma prakritim drishto vachanujam nripaha. In the course of time, it came to pass that people in general became accustomed to greed. Accustomed to greed means it is okay. It's okay, what's there? It's all part of life. Greed, anger, and pride. Maharaj, observing all these omens, spoke to his younger brother. Who's his younger brother now? So he's talking in context is Arjuna and Bhima. Arjuna is now there in Dwaraka. He's gone to witness what the Lord is doing. So Arjuna is not here. So it refers to Bhima here, his younger brother. Purport. Someone read the purport.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, and read Prabhu. Such a pious king as Maharaja Yudhishthira at once became perturbed when there were such inhuman symptoms as greed, anger, irreligiosity, and hypocrisy rampant in society. It appears from this statement that all these symptoms of degraded society were unknown to the people of the time, and it was astonishing for them to have experienced them with the advent of the Kali Yuga, or the age of quarrel. Hare Krishna.
So Kali Yuga means age of quarrel and disagreement. Whatever you say, I'll disagree. Vedanta and Vada. Whatever you say, I'll disagree. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't care. I'll disagree. And I'll fight. Why? My agenda. Your agenda. We'll fight. That's the nature of Kali Yuga. Okay? 14.6. Yudhishthira uvacha sampreshito dvarakayam jishnur bandhu dudikshaya nyatum cha punya slokasya krishnasya cha vichestitam. Translation. Maharaj Yudhishthira said to his younger brother Bhimasena, I sent Arjuna to Dwaraka to meet his friends and to learn from the personality God Krishna of his program of work. Okay, let's go to the next sloka. Well, we'll read next 3 slokas, then we can discuss. Gataha saptanu dhunamasa Bhimasena tavanujaha nayati kashyava hetu naham vedadam anjasa. Since he departed, 7 months have passed, yet he has not returned. I don't know factually how things are going there, but I'm scared of the situation around here because I'm seeing symptoms. 8. Api devarshina sakaloyam upastitaha yadatmano angam akridam bhagavan ut- utsrishikshati. Is he going to quit his earthly pastimes? As Devarshi Narada indicated, has that time already arrived? Right? So that is the purport here. Now, what is this purport? Prabhupada only talks about mainly these four slokas, right? He talks about 4.7, 4.8. What is 4.7, 4.8? 4.7, 4.8 is telling about Krishna will come to reinstate Dharma. While he reinstates Dharma, he will protect the devotees. Not just protect the devotees, he nourishes the devotees with his pastimes, right? Because that is the only nourishment a devotee can get. Devotee does not get nourishment with material things, material objects, or food, or sex, or anything else. Nourishment for devotees means experiencing Krishna Leela. Okay, so in those two slokas, Krishna explains that. Then Krishna says that if I should cease to work, this is a very important sloka, 3.24. If I cease to work, then all humanity would be misdirected. If I would be the cause of creating unwanted population, I would therefore destroy the peace of all sentient beings. Now, what does this means is, this refers to this Yadava community. In the Yadava community, what happened? They became very powerful and very intelligent, and they were outnumbering others. Why? Because, oh, Krishna, we are born in the community of Krishna, that Krishna is so powerful. So that went into their heads. So what did Krishna do? Krishna ensured that as this Leela completed, ensured that the Yadava race also is been completed, with exception to Uddhava Gita, because he had a mention. He is also part of the Yadava community, and then with an exception to Uddhava. So you see how the Lord is careful about not influence negative on this world by his actions. Okay. Then he says, what is leadership? Whatever action great man performs, common man will follow. And whatever standards he sets, by excellent act, the world pursues. So it is important to be a good leader as a role model. When we are a role model, we can give that experience to others and they can see the value out of it. So it is always important to every living entity to accept a leadership role. Whether it is called a leader or not doesn't matter. He accepts a leadership role. What is a leadership role? I will role model to my children. I will role model to my friends. I will role model to the society. What is correct and what is not right. Right? So like that, you see, when Lord came here, he established many of his purposes of one's life by his activities and pastimes. Right? So that's what Prabhupada explains here. So when those things are, showing a change, Yudhishthira is fearing that Lord has finished his pastimes and he has left this world. Right? So he is looking at the symptoms of what is happening around, and he's also looking at the symptoms of the statements made by Naradaji, and he's making conclusions. So, but at this point in time, he doesn't have definitive data whether Krishna is left or not. He's only seeing the symptoms and the feelings that he got within himself, and then he's trying to do it. Okay, 14.9. Yasmana sampado rajyam daraha prana kulam prajaha asan sapatna vijayo lokaschayat anugrahat. For him only all our kingly opulence, good wives, lives, progeny, control over our subjects, victory over our enemies, and future accommodation higher planets have become possible. Look at this. Sampada Rajyam, Rajyam is kingly, Dharha, Pranaha, Kulam, Prajaha. So this is good wives, progeny, Kulam is progeny, that means lineage, and then Prajaha means the citizens. So all these glories that happened, how it happened? It happened only because of the mercy of the Lord. If Krishna's mercy was not there, that would have not happened. Now we can also read in Damodar Leela, right? We are reading the night, right? So if you read, there is one sloka which talks about Yashoda trying to bind Krishna, right? Yashoda had so much of effort put. Many times she went and got a longer rope and came to bind Krishna. right? So much of effort that was put. But finally, what happened? Krishna said, okay, my kripa will fall on you. When Krishna's mercy fell on Yashodamai, she was able to bind the knot. That means it is Krishna's mercy one can achieve any glory in life. It says in the sloka 18, Dristva parishramam Krishnaha kripasya svabandhane. That means when kripa of Krishna falls on us, then our life can be nourishing. If not, we can never have any material success in our life or spiritual success in our life. That is the point here. So, Yudhishthira concludes, all this is due to his causeless mercy upon us. Lokasacha anugrahat. Only because of the anugraha of the Lord on the entire planetary system that we are able to sustain these good things. Right? Can someone read the yellow highlight?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prosperity earned by one's personal endeavor is also depends on the mercy of the Lord. Personal labor must be there in addition to the Lord's benediction. But without the Lord's benediction, no one is successful simply by personal labor. The modernized man of Kali Yuga believes in personal endeavor and denies the benediction of the Supreme Lord. Even a great sannyasi of India delivered speeches in Chicago protesting the
Benediction of Supreme Lord.
Yeah, benediction of the Supreme Lord. But as far as Vedic Shastras are concerned, as we find actually these pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, the ultimate sanction of all the success rests in the hands of the Supreme Lord. Maharaja Yudhishthira admits this truth in his personal success, and it behooves one to follow in the footsteps of the great king and devotee of the Lord to make life full success. If one could achieve success without the sanction of the Lord, then no medical practitioner would fail in to cure a patient. Despite the most advanced treatment of a suffering patient by the most up-to-date medical practitioner, there is death. And even in the most hopeless case, without medical treatment, a patient is cured astonishingly.
Astonishingly.
Therefore, the conclusion is that God's sanction is the imminent cause for all happenings, good or bad. Any successful man should feel grateful to the Lord for all he has achieved. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
What a beautiful purport Prabhupada written here. So, we should know the hands of the Lord in our life. How Lord has played an important role in our life. If we experience and realize that one aspect, we will reciprocate, we will take up the sadhaka bhakti so seriously. Otherwise, it's always an excuse. Right? You see, Yudhishthira is concluding that there's nothing that can happen in this world without the hands of the Lord. We always think it is our effort. It is our intelligence. But who gave you the opportunity to put your effort? But who gave you the intelligence for you to put that effort? It's the Lord. So, we have to understand that it is the mercy of the Lord that can make one's life. It is not one's endeavor. One's endeavor is only an enthusiasm to show the Lord that I'm in interest to do all these things. But it is the Lord's mercy and Lord's sanction that it can happen in one's life. That is that is the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam in this purport. Okay. So this is a very, very important sloka that you should all mug it up. Anytime you get into a preaching situation where what is the role of Lord and how one has become successful, or one says that, oh, I became successful by my own effort, you have to quote this. No, our effort is just an initial step and indicator to the Lord, but it's the Lord's mercy that we become successful to whatever we are today. Right? So let's repeat the sloka once again. Yashmana sampado rajyam daraha pranaha kulam prajaha asan sapatna vijayo lokascha yat anugrahat. So please remember this sloka and quote in an appropriate situation where you can explain to people that it's the mercy of the Lord that makes in our life and not just our effort. So,
Even
yes,
the city, he tells the same thing. When the patients, before he goes to operation, the patients, bystanders approach and ask. Then he tells, it's all in the hands of the Lord. Even the most difficult case, he survives and comes. Even the simple case, it's not in my hands, he tells Prabhu.
who tells?
Devi Shetty, the cardiac.
The doctor tells. Okay. See, he is a realized doctor. Huh? He knows he's just an instrument in the hands of the Lord. The Lord wants to cure a patient. So the Lord uses Devi Shetty to cure the patient. But the patient sees the doctor, he doesn't see the Lord. That's because of his ignorance. Right? So very good example you quoted. Okay? So it is true in every. Mataji quoted about Devi Shetty in the case of doctor, but forget that one aspect. Look at various other aspects. One getting a job, one getting a nice life partner, one getting association of devotees, one getting a guru, one getting good food to eat, one getting a good body to live. Everything is the mercy of the Lord. It is impossible for us to be doing or accomplishing any of these things by our own endeavor. Being born to good parents, we didn't decide our parents, the Lord decided our parents, and He sent us here. Right?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, one more example. ಅದು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಪ್ರೋಪ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಇವಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ವೀಸಾ ವೆಂಕಟೇಶ್ವರ ಅನ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಭು.
ವೀಸಾ
ಹೈದ್ರಾಬಾದ್
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವೀಸಾ ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೂ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಗೋ ಟು ದಟ್ ಟೆಂಪಲ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದೇ ಪ್ರೇ ಫಾರ್ ದಟ್ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು.
ವೀಸಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು?
There is a Balaji temple, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu.
At Chilakuru, Hyderabad, there is a Balaji temple.
Okay.
Those people who aspire to get a visa easily go and pray there with 108 pradakshinas. That temple became famous that it gets visas of America, especially. American visa is granted by praying there. That is why it's called Visa Venkateshwara.
Amazing, huh? I've never had something like this in my life.
Haribol Mataji.
But it's still okay. At least they went to Vishnu for visa.
This temple, there is no hundi, no dakshina, nothing. It is all managed by the one trustee. This thing. So there is no government control on this temple.
Okay, very nice. The only happiest part is, Krishna says, even for your material needs, you don't go to others, you come to me only, I'll fulfill. So they're at least going to Vishnu to fulfill their material needs. That is the good part. Okay, very interesting to hear such things. Okay, let's read one last sloka for the day. 14.10. Pashyotpatan nara vyagra divyan bahuman sadaihikan darunan samsato adurat bayam no buddhi mohanam. Translation. Just see, O man with a tiger strength, how many miseries due to celestial influences, earthly reactions, and bodily pains, all very dangerous in themselves, are foreboding danger in the near future by deluding our intelligence. So, in this purport, the Prabhupada is talking about advancement in material civilization, right? Advancement in material civilization is making us to get closer to hell rather than getting closer to the spiritual planets. I'm not trying to say advanced material is something one should completely remove and then go live in the forest and simply. I'm not trying to say that. If one is Krishna conscious, he will see that every material element present with us in our hand can be used in service of the Lord. If that much he thinks, then his consciousness is perfect, right? So that's where this sloka ends. Now, before we go to the next sloka, that is sloka number 1411, all the way till rays of sun declining, deities crying, okay. Yeah, till 20. Okay. This sloka is to indicate some greater loss, food fortune. Footprints. Okay, till 21. Okay. So I want to give you all a homework that you will read from, please write down right away. You will read from 14.11 and up to 14.21. Okay, so what is this? It talks about various symptoms that Yudhishthira Maharaj exhibits, which is called as symptoms of inauspiciousness. So, for example, in sloka number 11, I'll tell you, just to understand how you should read, I'll tell you now. 14:11. It says, look at the sloka, it says, the left side of my body, my thighs, arms, and eyes are all quivering again and again. I'm having heart palpitations due to fear, and all this indicates undesirable happenings. We call shakunam, no? Right? Oh, bad omen, bad situation. So that's what he is experiencing. Who? Yudhishthira Maharaj. So now, for example, in Shastra it says, when a man experiences left side pain and the left side, palpitations and shaking and things like that, it is considered signs of inauspiciousness. It may be death or it may be a bad event that's going to happen. But if a woman experiences all left side, vibrations and things like that, palpitations, things like that, it is not considered out of fear, it's considered of anxiety. Okay? The best example you can take it up is the story of Rukmini. See, the story of Rukmini love letter to Krishna. So Rukmini wrote a love letter to Krishna and then she gave it to Brahmana. And then please hand it over to Krishna. So this Brahmana took it as a service and he handed over to Krishna. But the Brahmana never came back to Rukmini to update her what all happened. Or maybe there was a time delay. So during the time, Rukmini was very anxious. She did not know whether Lord is received, whether Lord will come and take it, what's going to happen. Because my brother Draupada is wanting me to get married to Shishupal, and I don't want my life to be that it will be doomed. And she said, I'll commit suicide. Right? So at the time, if you read the purports, you will see that Rukmini is experiencing palpitation. Her left and right arm all quivering, and then they're going into such situations of intense anxiety. But that is, you see, that is anxiety for Krishna. So that is positive. But when men goes anxiety on the left side, it is negative. But when women goes through anxiety on the left side, it is positive. Right? So here, Yudhishthira is a man, and he's going through all the symptoms on this left side. So you will see that as negative, and then why he is feeling undesirable situation. Right? So that like that you will read. So you read this purport in that manner and understand all the symptoms, right? So for example, he will see in the next translation, you see, oh Bhima, see how she-jackal, the lady jackals cry in the rising sun and vomits fire, and how the dog barks at me fearlessly, right? We also say, no, when we hear the howling of the jackals, oh, you know what, some ghost is coming or some inauspicious things are going to happen, right? So like that he's experiencing. And we also say that in the night when the dogs bark too much, we say, oh, Yama is coming, something like that. So these are all inauspiciousness. So like that he's experiencing them, right? Now, it is important to you to go through these symptoms, go through these in a very manner, and then understand what Shastra is telling about it. Now, for example, in the 14, right? You see in 14.14, translation, just see, this pigeon is like a messenger of death. The shrieks of the owls and the rival crows make the heart tremble. It appears that they want to make a void of the whole universe. Now we know, no? When the owls come and, what they do, when they sit there, it is considered to be inauspicious, right? So pigeon is a messenger of death. You will see at the time of dying, you'll see many thousands of pigeons, they would come around that place and then they flock and then they go around. So all these things are symptoms of death. So I want you to read the 10 to 11 symptom to the sloka 21. You'll understand all the symptoms and we can discuss based on what experiences you have in these symptoms and understand how Yudhishthira must have experienced the symptoms with the Lord. Okay? But one thing we will conclude out of this is the determination of a devotee. Okay? The determination of devotee in practicing bhakti. So what is the best story we can take? The sparrow and the eggs, which Prabhupada very beautifully describes. What happens to the story of sparrow and the eggs? The sparrow laid eggs on the shore of the ocean. What the ocean did? The ocean came and washed away the eggs. It took the eggs into the ocean by its natural process of the waves hitting the ocean. The sparrow, out of its anxiety, said, "Oh, ocean, please give me back my eggs because they're my child, they're little birds, please give me back." And the ocean never responded. Then the sparrow said, "If you don't give, what shall I do? I will take away all the water from you and then I'll dry you the ocean." Now, people hearing, they'll say, "Oh, this is mentally insane. The sparrow beak is so small. How can it take away all the water? Even though the sparrow is trying, harder for any number of years, it is impossible. It is humanly impossible. How is it possible for a sparrow to make such comments?" But when the sparrow started not only saying it with determination, suck the water and start to pour into the land, into some distance areas, the determination of that sparrow was observed by nature, was observed by the great bird Garuda. So Garuda, seeing that, he flew down and he told the ocean, "If you don't return the eggs, now this sparrow took my shelter. So if you don't return the eggs of the sparrow, I shall dry you up." So Garuda gave a threatening statement, but sparrow giving is okay, but Garuda is messenger of Lord, is none other than Lord himself, messenger of the Lord. He'll make it happen. So immediately what did the ocean did? It immediately slowly pushed the eggs back onto the shore, right? So what does this indicate? It indicates that ocean is Maya. Okay? Ocean will take away our fruitive endeavors and also will take away our remembrance of Krishna. Now, what does the sparrow indicate? The sparrow indicates the position of a sadhaka, right? Sadhaka cannot give up. Non-stop, continuously, with full of faith, with full of determination, he practices. Is Krishna conscious. Okay, so what Garuda represents? Garuda represents either Vaishnavas or the Lord himself. By their benediction, by their mercy, the most impossible conceived can be made possible. That means, in Kali Yuga, vision of the Lord, mukti, mercy of the Lord, mukti, liberation, all can be possible by determination, just like a sparrow, a sadhaka practicing nicely. And that's what we learn out of this. So if we learn out of this, we take that into our life and we start to practice. Okay? So that's for today's discussion on the first canto, chapter 14, titled The Disappearance of Krishna. So disappearance of Krishna doesn't talk about Krishna leaving, it talks about the symptoms and situations and the state of consciousness. If the Lord is going to leave, what will be the situation? So we should apply that in today's life. Yugaitam nimishena chakshusha prarvishaitam shunyaitam jagat sharvam govinda virahena me. So if I'm going to be in forgetfulness of the Lord, what should be my state? That is the conclusion understanding. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Just in this context, I wanted to just share one experience which happened recently, Prabhu. Like my Prabhu was having cataract problem and severe diabetes, which was not getting controlled for the past 1 year. We were trying. And then we got the chance to go to Vrindavana Yatra. First time I'm going with ISKCON and with the Mercy, Jagannath Mercy group with you, Prabhu. So in the beginning, he protested, my husband, but later on, he agreed. And so we went. And Radharani Mataji said, he will come to Vrindavan and go back. You will experience, you will see that his sugars will be controlled. Surgery will be done immediately. He will do very well. Same thing happened, Prabhu. Now we went to the doctor. He said, everything is fine. And he went ahead and he's doing very well, Prabhu. That's my experience. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, that may be material in nature, but the spiritual nature is, he was either not chanting or chanting one round. Now he's chanting more rounds, correct?
Yes, Prabhu. Transformation has happened.
That is important.
Yes, Prabhu.
My Gandharika was telling yesterday, see, moment he slipped into Radha Kund, I know what will happen to him. So that's what is happening.
Prabhu, all Guru and Gauranga's blessings. Thank you very much.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I want to get this clarified, at least to explain to the others, Prabhu. When Lord Krishna was there on the earth, there was all these symptoms, no, Prabhu, greed, anger, deceitfulness, everything was there. So people are definitely going to ask, Prabhu. So it's not that it appeared only after he disappeared. Especially in his close aunt's house only, everything was happening. So how can we explain this, Prabhu?
So the thing is, the nature of material world means it's intrinsic to the material nature. Okay? The nature of material world means material bodies. Material bodies means senses. Senses means sense gratification. That means our nature is to gratify senses for our own pleasure and forgetfulness of Krishna. That is the nature of material world. Okay? So material world means these things will happen. It is not that it won't happen. But the point is, what percentage of these things that used to happen earlier and what percentage is happening now? So if you take the percentages, if there were 1,000 kings in Dwapara Yuga, maybe about 20 to 30 kings were bad kings. But 995%, 98% of the kings were good kings. They followed religiosity, they followed all those things. And what is the proof? If you read Rajasuya Yagna of Yudhishthira Maharaj, you will see how various kings that the brothers of Yudhishthira went on 4 directions, how they submitted, and then they were following the practices of dharma and religion. Right? So, the 95 to 98% of people were God conscious, they were united, and they were practicing all these things. The problem was about 5%. Why is that 5%? Because this is the nature of material. It is not the material, this is not Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha means 100%. Material world means you will see these things. But in Kali Yuga, what has happened? That 5 and 95 has become reversed.
Yes.
1% has become good and 99% become bad. And that's the situation. That's what you have to tell.
Yes, thank you so much, Prabhu. Dandavad.
Dandavad Pranam.
Yes,
Prabhu,
ma'am.
you know the sparrow story, but the way you interpret it is fantastic, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavad Pranam.
That's Pranam. Any other questions? Thoughts? Yeah.
One realization I got just now, Prabhu.
Ah.
Today's day is a tough day for me, Prabhu, because lot of task has to be performed. But today's your class has made me at ease, Prabhu. So I will be able to do it very well. I'm feeling, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Take mercy of the Lord. Remember Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Seek
Prabhu.
His blessings. Seek His mercy. Things will just go like a smooth wave. That's it.
14.9.
Yeah, 14.9. All of you mug it up. In the next class, we'll all recite together. It's a very important sloka that will tell us how the mercy of the Lord will act on us. Okay?
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Any other questions or all we are done?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Pavan Prabhu and Shrita Mataji, they are motivating us to do chanting in the Brahma Muhurtam from 4 to 6, Prabhu. We are finding a lot of transformations in all of us.
Okay, very good. Whatever gives you benefit in the spiritual life, practice nicely. Okay? Okay, thank you all. Thanks for your wonderful association right in the morning. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Vancha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Vaishnava Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Om Sat. Thank you. So, don't forget your homework. Your homework is to remember that sloka 14.9. Then your homework is to read slokas number 20, 11 to 21.
11 to 21.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Dandavad Pranam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavad Pranam.
Krishna Dandavat Pranam.
Krishna Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for the wonderful class, Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam. Okay, we'll end the class here. Huh?
Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.